Greetings once more, dear friends. Fanatical Dragon back once again, and finally time for another movie review. Feel like it's been a minute since I've had a chance to sit down and talk about film, and today getting a chance to speak about 2023's Project Silence, a kind of Korean, I'd say disaster thriller, or slight sci-fi disaster thriller, I guess. This was directed by Tae-Gon, and a pretty simple premise. There is heavy fog conditions along the Incheon Bridge, which is the massive, huge, long kind of suspension bridge which connects Seoul and Incheon across to Airport Island, so it kind of sometimes gets called the Airport Bridge. I think it's the 7th largest cantilevered suspension bridge in the world. Pretty spectacular scale, and most of the action in the film takes place on the bridge. There's heavy bad fog conditions which causes an enormous car pile-up. In amongst the car pile-up is a military transport that's kind of moving a group of experimental dogs, which I think have been trained as sort of killer dogs. It's a slightly secret clandestine program. The dogs get loose, and basically it becomes down to the kind of people who are on the bridge trapped among the pile-up to survive against the dogs and in the worsening conditions of the bridge, because the pile-ups caused kind of instability in the bridge, and about halfway through, a little bit of a spoiler, the bridge semi-collapses, and so we're kind of having to deal with the kind of collapsing structure around them and the killer dogs trying to stay alive. There's a little bit of kind of political intrigue wrapped into the middle of this, because our sort of main central character, being played by the phenomenal and late now Sun-kyun, who kind of tragically took his own life a couple of years ago. He's playing a kind of political aide who is sort of speaking to the guy who might well become the next president, and so there's a little bit of kind of political intrigue and the sort of responsibility for who has been behind this kind of failed military operation to kind of produce these killer dogs. But that's it, really. Essentially, it kind of at its core, it's a disaster thriller or disaster movie in the truest sense. So kind of like the Tower Inferno, reminded me in places of whichever one of the Final Destination movies took place on a bridge that collapsed, though this is less focused on kind of grisly deaths and more on the kind of the tension that's kind of being created by the fact that these people are kind of stuck amid this bad situation. Cast's really good. So I mentioned Sun-kyun, who I'm an enormous fan of. Most people in the West probably know him as being the rich father in Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. For me personally, I think Dr. Brain has been his finest moment, the Apple TV series from a couple of years ago that he made with one of my favourite Korean directors, with Kim Ji-Hoon. That's a phenomenal series, and also fairly recently he was in Sleep, which is a kind of phenomenally kind of great little kind of wee psychological thriller, which if you get a chance to see Sleep, I'll maybe do a separate review video for Sleep at some point, but he's certainly in the lead. He is accompanied by Ji-Hoon, probably best known for the Netflix zombie series Kingdom. He was in both seasons of that, and I think also in the spin-off. His daughter here has been played by Su-an, who is the very young kid in Train to Busan, and there's a bit of a Train to Busan connection with the movie generally, because it's been co-written by Park Joo-suk, who wrote Train to Busan, and you kind of get the sense that they're trying to have lightning strike again, and so there is quite a few parallels in some of the kind of dynamics. You've kind of got a single father and his daughter kind of trying to navigate a dangerous situation, and then basically kind of having to connect with other people who are in that same environment. In Train to Busan, obviously it was all on a train. Here it is all stuck on the bridge. And then we also have Kim Hee-Won, who's a director in his own right. He's playing Dr. Yang here, the guy who's kind of overseeing the operation of the dogs, and when things go horribly bad he kind of loses his mind. And that's pretty much our kind of main leads. There are two female characters. One is a professional golfer who's failed to kind of get her flight and has been stuck on the bridge as a result, but they're not a huge part of the film. Really, it's the kind of core dynamic between Sun-kyun's character and Ji-Hoon's character, and the daughter Kim Su-an. There's an honourable mention here for the one actual real life dog in the movie, who I think in the film's called Jodie, who's very cute and is definitely a very real dog, unlike the experimental killer dogs who are all CG. I've seen a little bit of criticism saying that the CG dogs are maybe not that great. I didn't really have an issue with them. I thought they were pretty good. They're not actually a huge part of the film. They're in sort of 2 or 3 key sequences, but really it was much more about kind of the environment, trying to navigate getting off the bridge. So I kind of saw the bridge itself as almost as big a character as the kind of the pack of dogs and how they're kind of handled in the film. But overall, just really well put together, really well handled, really well acted. Script was pretty good. Do not watch the English dub because it's absolutely horrible. I watched it in its original Korean. I picked up the Steelbook, which has the Blu-ray version and the 4K on here. Looks really good in 4K. I think the film runs for about 96 minutes long and breezes by, kind of really good Sunday afternoon, kind of just entertaining watch on a rainy day, and one that I probably will go back to. Interestingly, I watched this in exactly the same week as The Gorge, also on Apple TV, which was spectacularly bad, despite having some incredible kind of big names attached to it, and a score by Trent Reznor, and I'm a massive Nine Inch Nails fan, so kind of on paper thought I was absolutely going to adore The Gorge, and was a little bit more sceptical about Project Silence, but my expectations proved to be totally wrong. Project Silence was thoroughly entertaining, really well put together and pretty believable. The Gorge was a piece of shit. So if you're looking for something to watch, I would highly recommend tracking down Project Silence. I'll leave links down below. You can pick it up. Interestingly, this is a Capelight release in the UK. Capelight, the German company, who've been putting out quite a lot of Korean movies on Blu-ray over the last couple of years, and I hope this does well for them. I hope that they kind of continue to give us more new Korean cinema here in the UK as kind of as releases in the way that they do in Germany, because we've missed out on a whole bunch of different franchises, notably the Roundup series, Ma Dong-suk's kind of great series of movies. They're all getting releases in Germany. We haven't had any of them released over here in the UK, so kind of hope this one does well for them. And as far as Sun-kyun goes, definitely look at Sleep as well, which has also been recently released on Blu-ray in the UK, though this one's by Curzon. If anybody wants a review of Sleep, I will absolutely kind of get myself together to make one, because that was a thoroughly entertaining movie too. But for as far as Project Silence goes, I'd kind of give it 2 thumbs up. I heartily recommend tracking it down. If you don't want to get the Steelbook, it is available on regular Blu-ray and on DVD as well. And like I say, links will be down underneath. But that's it. Not much more else to say other than a thoroughly entertaining, slightly ridiculous plot, but really well delivered slice of recent Korean cinema. And that's it. I've been the Fanatical Dragon. Thank you so much for watching this. If you made it to the end, I salute you. Do throw me a subscribe if you don't already, because it does help the channel out. I know I say it all the time, but I think about 65-70% of the people watching the videos don't yet subscribe, so click the red button and it'll help me out immensely. I will see you on the next one very soon. Take care.